Hello there. Welcome back to a video, and this is my studio. And today I wanted to talk about the art supplies I use. A really common question with artists and people I know and myself is what supplies we use, what pens you use, markers, whatever. So I wanted to go over some of those, but I wanted to more importantly go over how to pick your own art supplies, because what I found with the question of what do you use, and that can be either a program or a brush or digital brush or your sketchbook or whatever, is that typically artists use those tools because they'll find stuff and explore and find it, and they use it because they like it for a specific reason, and that's why they like it and that's why it works for them. So if you get the same pen as them, it's not going to make you magically better at art. I think half those people, that's the mindset. They're like, I need to have the best tool, I need to use what the other artists are using, and that's going to make me better. And then I think the other mindset, which I believe a lot of people have, is, and I do this too, I ask my friends what they're using, or if they find a new thing, I want to try it, is they just want to explore more tools to use and more things to use and, figure out what works for them. So finding the art supplies that work best for you just takes trial and error and trying a bunch of different things. So I'll usually go to an art store, browse, and if I see something new that I haven't seen before, and it happens a lot, like there's always some new art supply or some new marker, some new color or something, or maybe I want to try a different medium, and just pick, a color that appeals to you and just try it out. And I have tons of different markers, and I'm not going to go over everything I have. I'm just going through what I'm using right now. And usually those things will cycle out, and then I'll go back to something else or be like, oh, I want to try this again or that again. So it changes out a ton. With that being said, I will show you the tools I use and I'll give you some of the reasons why I use them, but I would implore you can try those things out, but then also to try your own tools and kind of figure out what it is about it that you like, and then you can kind of go from there. But also, yeah, it's just fun to collect art supplies. That's like half the fun of drawing, is just playing with fun tools and stuff. So anyway, I want to begin with the most basic of the basics that I use. I'm also just going over materials I use in my sketchbook. I'm not going over stuff like my paintbrushes or paints or anything like that or whatever. I'm just going over sketchbook stuff. Anyway, moving on. The pencils I use pencil sometimes. I do enjoy drawing with pencil, and I use two different kinds of pencil. I will use a lead pencil, obviously, but just your wood type pencil. This is the brand I've been using lately. The brand of pencil really doesn't matter. What really matters with pencils is the hardness of it. So you have your number 2 pencils, your hard pencils, your soft pencils, and that's going to determine darkness, lightness, and that can also determine how hard it is to erase or how light it is or whatever. So some are better for sketching, some are better for the pencil is the art, some are better for underpainting, some are better for canvas. But anyway, I use these in my sketchbook. They're called the Blackwing pencils. I think you can get them in bookstores and stuff. They're pretty popular right now. But I just like them because they're aesthetically pleasing. I like the style of, the way it goes on the page and whatever. And then of course I have any mechanical pencil will do. I like to get the mechanical pencils that have metal on them and are a little more heavy duty because I like them to last a long time. And I usually fill them with a 2H or whatever, 2 hardness, just your standard pencil. And I usually use these for underlining, sketching, stuff like that. So this is more for I'm actually having fun drawing with pencil, and this is more for technical drawing of light drawing or under drawing, so I can paint over it or draw over it. And then also this is more convenient if I'm traveling and I don't want to bring a sharpener. So that is my pencils that I use in my sketchbook for right now. We're not getting into my favorite pen of all time, the Zebra Sarasa Clip 1. I use a 0.7. This is my favorite pen. I do all of my pen drawings in this pen. I've gone through a lot of pens, and stuff that I look for in a pen is how the ink goes down, how it feels when I draw with it, and the darkness of the ink. So I really hate ballpoint pens, how they're kind of faded, and also if you're drawing, it'll be a line, then it'll fade out for a second, line, fade out, or I just hate when the ink won't flow. And so far with these, they keep a pretty consistent ink flow. I really just hate when they get to that dried out point randomly and you have to scribble forever to try and get it to go again, or I've tried a ton of different tricks and these have never had that problem. Yeah, I get these, you have to order them from Japan. So when I was in Japan, I got a ton of them just to save the extra step. I got them originally at Kinya Kunya, which supplies a lot of Japanese like stationery and drawing stuff, so that's why I ran into this, so you never know where you'll find some cool art supply thing. Some other pens I use when I'm drawing, and these aren't really pens, these are moving more into like my ink markery drawings. I use this brush pen. You can reload it with ink, so I'll show you. It looks like that, and you take it off and you re-pop in one of these whenever you need to refill it. So I like that it stays clean. A main reason why I use these instead of like the ones where you take the cap off and fill it with loose ink is mostly because I'm afraid in my bag it's going to explode. So this feels more contained. The flow is nice. I like the style of ink. I like the way it feels in my hand. And I like the drawing and how it looks. I like if you can do different things with it. Like if you go really fast, you can like kind of slow down the ink dispensing and get more of like a scratchy look. The line weight, depending how hard you push down on it, you can have like nice line weight stuff. You can fill in areas really quickly. So I'm enjoying this lately in combination with this other pen thing. It's called Tombow, and another Japanese style pen, but they sell these at my art store. So it's a Tombow brush pen. I like these kind of nibs, like the kind of felty style, because it lets you have like a little bit of variation in the line weight, and I've always just enjoyed the thickness of them. And these, and also sign pens, I use those a ton. Like I have probably like 20, because I like to buy a ton of the things I use a lot because they always dry out, or like I use the shit out of them. But this is like a variation of that. I've been enjoying this a lot. And now we're moving on to the sign pens I was talking about, but I wanted to show some colors. So this is the sign pen, wee. But I got these colors, and this is like a good example of like, I'll get to browsing and there's usually some new color or something I want to try. And I saw like this combination of like pinky tan colors, and it made me imagine like, oh, I want to draw something where like their lips and eyes and stuff are these colors. Like they just feel like that would be like cool to draw that. So a lot of times I'll be getting markers or things and like a weird combination set of like, ooh, this aesthetically looks like this green looks nice with this reddish brown, and like I want to do that, and I'll draw in combination with them a lot. And then over time, you know, I'll mix them up with other colors and stuff. Anyway, this is like the most recent one I got, but I really like, I have tons of these in black, and I just really, again, like the felty tip design of these pens. So I have gone through many of this style of pen. And another style pen, I keep calling them pens. I feel like they're more markers. That's the word I'm looking for. These markers I really like a lot. These are also Tombow. I didn't know that actually. Learn something new every day. So more Tombow, but I really like this style of brush pen. It has like two ends. One is like this more tiny style, like a line side, which I don't use that a ton. I mostly use this end. That's like more of a brush pen style, and I really like this for like different line widths and coloring, and it kind of like gives this naive feel. So I really like these. This is like a color combo I've been using lately. I have a ton of colors of these. They're really vibrant, they don't bleed through, and I really like the colors they come out with. So yay Tombow again. And then these are some new markers. Like I said, you go, you discover new things, and you buy a couple based on like a color combo you like, and you just try them out and see what you can do with them. And I really like these pens. They're called Zig Memory System Brushables Brush Up on Color. That's like, I don't know what's that on there, but anyway, so here's these. They are also two-ended, but the difference with these is like there's a different color on each end. So I thought that was cool, so they're getting two colors with one. So I've been using these a lot lately. They're all brush style pens. Again, like I like that brush feel, but this ink is very saturated. I really like the colors that it came out. Again, it's like I really just like, sometimes just like a color appeals to you for whatever reason. I also like this like brush is kind of thicker, so like it has a little more bend to it. So those have been fun to draw with. So the last supply I'm gonna show you is one that I picked up in Japan on a whim. I got like the mega set because I just really thought I would like them, and I'm glad I did. I almost regret not getting like the super giant set, but it's whatever. I got the next step over, but it is these Zig, I'll just take out an example. It's called Zig Clean Color Real Brush, and it's supposed to emulate like watercolor, and I think you can rehydrate it with water and kind of like blend it, which I've done a couple times. But you can see it's got like, it's like an actual brush. It's not like a felt tip. It's like actual brush fibers and then it has ink inside of it. So you can put this down and you can blend them together and kind of wipe over them with each other and blend them, and they kind of overlay nicely, and so like they kind of act like watercolor. When you go over it again, it gets a little darker and more saturated, and you can use water to smear it and push it around and make it look more watercolory. So I've been really enjoying these. I really like playing with these, kind of emulating kind of like a watercolory style, which is like what they're for, obviously. So they've been really fun to play with, and I would love to get more colors. I think these are like really good for maybe doing color studies, like kind of limiting or trying to like get a color you're looking for with like kind of a limited palette or something. So that is some of the tools I have been using lately, and these aren't even like a fraction of all of the markers and pencils and things I've collected over time. It's really just what I do, at least, is I just collect a bunch, or like I'll passively get one thing here, one thing there, and if I really like something, I'll get more of it, or I'll get different colors of it. And you just eventually hoard this giant collection of like weird little art supplies over time if you're into like sketchbooking a lot, mostly. I think this happens with any art thing people do. I do painting and drawing and illustration mostly, so I'm collecting a lot of like sketchbooking stuff and markers and pens and pencils, and like I do collect paints to an extent. I don't stray too much brand-wise, just because once I find something, I really want to invest in learning that. But I'm sure like if you're a painter or something, you have this similar, or it might be a similar thing where you'll collect different paints or colors or brands or whatever and mix them up. So, but the important thing through all of this is when you ask what artists use, keep in mind a lot of it is just discovering what works for you and like figuring out what you like in an art supply, and that's going to inform you about like, it's going to kind of drive your style and the way you draw. And a part of what makes your art you is by you liked this pen, and that's going to come through because it's going to have this certain line weight or style or color, and that's going to be a part of you, and it's going to go into everything else. So just keep that in mind when you ask artists about what supplies they use. There's nothing wrong with that. Definitely just take it with a grain of salt and explore with it in your own way. Just get out there and just try things. It's okay to get something and it doesn't work out, or you're like, oh, this kind of sucks. I do think it's better to try collecting something and like investing in that and it not working out than always wondering or avoiding or trying to build or grow in any which way. So I hope I gave you some stuff to think about and maybe some supplies you might want to try for sketchbooking. I do think if you're going to just start sketchbooking, any pen will do. You can use a ballpoint pen to start, and you're going to figure out why you do and don't like a ballpoint pen. Sometimes having a tool that you don't really like and finding a way to like it is a big thing. Like in school, again, I'm going back to the fucking ballpoint pen. Like in school, you'd have a ballpoint pen, but then you realize the ballpoint pens, you can kind of get like a really light ink, so then you start shading and you can make these like really realistic drawings with ballpoint pens. So it's like using a tool in a way you wouldn't expect is also a way to go about it. So if you buy something, you're like, I don't have a ton of spare cash, just throw around at markers and see what I like. Just get something. If you don't like it, try it and use it in a different way than you think it could be used. That's my idea. Oh my God. Genius stuff, I'm saying. So that's the art supplies I'm using now. Hope you enjoyed the sketches, and let me know down below what art supplies you might use, or what is like your favorite pen, or like the quote unquote holy grail thing that you found for yourself that awakened your inner chakra, your artist chakra. All right, so that's it. I will see you next time, and I will attempt to find Rocky. Mr. Rock, come here. Here's your Rocky tax. It's him. Goodbye.